Hi, everybody. I'm Tiffany Thoen. I am an intuitive eating coach, and I'm here with Emily Corso. We're going to be talking today about posting about your body fears on social media and diet culture and all of that good stuff. So, Emily, I'd love to hear a little bit about your, who you are in your business, and then we can dive in.
Yeah, sure. My name is Emily Corso. I'm the owner of Bold and Badass Fitness, and we're a fitness facility. We were a gym, now we're an online fitness facility for people who are looking for somewhere that's body positive, queer friendly, somewhere where they can be themselves, but also, push themselves and learn and grow and explore new things. So we have a really supportive, awesome fitness community, and I'm stoked to be here.
I love it. That's awesome. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the increase that we've seen in people posting about their body concerns on Facebook or on Instagram. And I personally have been seeing so much of it. How about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I'm seeing several posts every day now.
Yeah, I feel like I've been seeing posts about people being concerned about gaining weight, people being concerned about their pants, saying that their pants aren't going to fit, people saying, joking about, just like living in the refrigerator now. I've seen people posting all kinds of like, I'm doing this diet and I've lost X pounds, I'm fasting, I'm, whatever it is, doing a cleanse, just a lot of like, increased anxiety around food and body image. And it's been really, really sad for me to see and really kind of personally triggering as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so much of what you're describing is like the kind of diet culture that we see all the time on social media, um, just the way that people want to kind of air their anxieties about their bodies, about their food for the world. And that's fine. I think that's a way that people process. But the thing that's made it really crazy around COVID is just that there's this really intense self-scrutiny around it, right? This really intense judgment and shame, which really never has a place. It's not better on the other side of this, but it seems like it's really become something of a kind of like an Olympics for people to be like, well, I'm going to come out so big on the other side, or I'm just sitting here not moving, eating junk food. Like these thoughts, they get to people, and I can feel the effect for myself. I can see the effect on my members, that it puts the idea in people's heads to see so much anxiety around it, not just the facts, but also the feelings around that have been really.
Yeah, and I think it's problematic because it's triggering for people who are, in recovery from an eating disorder or disordered eating. It's also stigmatizing for people who are in larger bodies that, are seeing you say, I don't want to be bigger. And then that's basically saying there's something wrong with the way that you look and I don't want to look that way, right?
Yeah.
And we know that diet culture is kind of what perpetuates that. Like there's something better about being smaller, and that somehow our value and our worth is tied up in how many pounds we weigh or what our jean size is. Like I don't give a fuck what your jean size is. Like I do not, right? But I definitely noticed myself like, oh, my pants are they snug today? Like what and then just being like, oh, this is old for me. I don't subscribe to that belief system anymore. I think it seems innocent in the moment, like a joke or whatever, but it actually is really harmful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the seems innocent point is so big here, is that so often, and this is true all the time, right? Is like people think that they're motivating themselves, or maybe even motivating other people by talking about whether or not their pants fit, that this creates kind of like an accountability loop for them, posting on social media, and that other people will know their goals and hold them to it, which I think even if it were to come true, sounds really freaking miserable, right? Can you imagine a world where other people are asking you how much weight you've gained due to COVID or something like that, or, due to quarantine? It just sounds terrible. So yeah, I think the moralizing, the anxiety, the sense of like trying to regain control in this way and be like hyper focused on your body because there's so little that we do have control over right now. It's something that's kind of infectious.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing happen is it's like a long-term pattern. People are either, kind of weight cycling, dieting, binge restrict, or, they're struggling with like emotional eating, whatever that is. And then right now with all of the stress and all of the kind of slow down and be at home all the time, it's like we're super zoomed in and then we're hyper focused on ourselves. And, again, the main problem I see with it is that not only does it not work to binge, or to restrict after a binge, something like that, or to diet, right? We know 80 to 95% of the time, diets, not only do you gain all the weight back, sometimes then some, right? But it also contributes to a lot of like shame and, it's like a really negative spiral that happens. But, in addition to all of that for ourselves, it's not working and then beating ourselves up, having all of that self-judgment is also, impacting all of the other people who are seeing those posts, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Like you said, is like people could be seeing these posts thinking, and like, what you're most afraid of, what all these people are most afraid of in the midst of a global pandemic where they could die is being heavy, right? Is that someone could be looking at it thinking your worst nightmare is to be me, but also that there could be a lot of people who are either, explicitly in recovery from an eating disorder who are triggered by seeing that. I've mentioned that to people sometimes, like, well, that's just, that's a very small percentage of the population. It's not. It's a fairly large percentage, especially for women. And so there could be a lot of people seeing that being triggered by it. And then also there are a lot of people who might not be eating disordered in a formal sense, but just who felt fine, just regular people who felt fine about their bodies, who are made to feel worse about something when nothing is wrong, and nothing was ever wrong. And that's exacerbated by this like cycle of self-flagellation, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and it's also just boring. Like, come on. Can we talk about something else besides our pant size? Like, man, like I need real connection with people right now. I want to know how you're actually doing. I want to smile and laugh and cry with you, right? I don't want to be picking myself apart. I don't want to listen to you pick yourself apart, right?
Yeah.
And so, and that's not to say if you're having anxiety about your body, definitely get support. Like, I'm not trying to make light of it. I understand that it really is a genuine struggle, and having, challenges around body image is not, it's not silly or frivolous. It's painful. But like talking about, trying to, control that 5-10 pound weight gain, whatever, on social media right now, it's like, it's definitely to me not the most important or valuable thing. And I think that we need to be thoughtful about putting that out there. So what are some things we could do instead? Like what do we do about this, like kind of wanting to post, seeing people post, all the food body struggles on social media right now?
I mean, one thought that I have is like, if you are experiencing, and I've heard this, I've heard this from so many people, including other coaches and people in the fitness industry, is like, it's hard to feel good in your body right now when you're more sedentary than usual. And not because it changes your body, just because your body, it feels bad. Like everybody feels stiff when they sit all day. Everybody feels like a slug right now. That's normal. That's because we're here indoors all the time. I think the flip side of it is if you actually need support around anxiety, go to somewhere where you can get that support, right? You won't just throw everything you think into the public realm, because who knows what you get back from people. It may not be what you want, what's going to make you feel best, what's going to lead you to your best life anyways. So I would always tell people is like, if you have a community, I have a Facebook group. I know my members will post in there about the ways that they're feeling, and there they can get support from a more like a place with a little bit of a different culture around it. There are lots of different Facebook groups. There are lots of different websites that focus on that kind of stuff. A person could also seek out a professional for that kind of help. So that's
Yes.
one idea.
Yeah, definitely support that I offer for my clients, and even for people who aren't my clients, like reach out to me. I don't want anybody to be struggling in pain around this right now. So, well, ever really, but especially right now. So so reach out, get support. I love that. My thought too is talk with your friends and family about like make it like no commenting on bodies pact, right? Like this is like one last thing we need right now. And so asking for support from your friends in terms of like just not let's just not pick at ourselves right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you can get other people on board with you, they can help hold you accountable to a new standard. And that standard can be self-love. I know it sounds crazy, but it's like you can have people remind you when you're apologizing for nothing or when you're picking yourself apart, and really thinking about, like, this is kind of in some ways, this is like a put your own mask on first, where you've got to take care of yourself before you can take care of other people. But it's also a question of modeling for the people that you love and I know so many of the people that I work with, so many of my friends are parents, or they're part of another community. And it's like, if you're a mom, you're modeling this behavior for your kids. You're modeling self-love for your kids. And not to, like, I know parents have enough to deal with, but it's like, we have to consider how many people are seeing that, and how you can focus on the good that it can cause to not go that route.
Yeah, absolutely. And and your friends who are in larger bodies will appreciate you not posting those kinds of things as well. And, if you've done this in the past, if you did it earlier today, this is not meant to like give you something to beat yourself up about. That's absolutely not the goal here. We were just kind of talking about how Facebook shows us, our own things that we put out in the past. And I was kind of, what was kind of considered a health coach before I became trained in intuitive eating, and a coach under my nursing license. And, I definitely had some things that I would say were pretty like diet culture, stigmatizing messages. And so that pops up sometimes and I'm like, oh man, but now I know that, there's harm in that. And I know that not only does it harm, me, but it harmed other people as well. And so kind of giving myself some forgiveness for that. And when, I know differently now. And so the best that I can do now is to really try to help shift the culture around it, and that change the conversation. Right.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's such an important thing to mention too, is like, like you said, I also see a lot of things from my past. I was a competitive athlete. I was an athlete in a weight class sport. So making a certain weight was part of my job at one point in my life, crazy as that might sound.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see the things that I talked about then as a coach, as an athlete, just as a person in the world, sometimes I feel embarrassed about it, but I also understand, like, that's just where I was in my progress at that time. That's where I was in my life, and it's how I saw the world. And I think one of the things that we can do now as we move forward, if you're someone who wants to change the way that they talk about themselves, or if you're someone that wants to help other people understand that too, I think a lot of it has to do with framing, right? So it's like, we all have thoughts. No one's saying you can't have thoughts. No one's saying you can't talk about your fears and anxieties. But how you frame them is really, really important. And so when things are framed in terms of moralization, right? When things are framed in terms of good and bad, that's where it becomes really harmful and toxic. So it's okay to be like, wow, my body feels weird. I feel like an alien to myself right now. Like, I feel disconnected. My clothes don't fit. I don't understand how to behave in the world. Those are all okay things. It's when you're negative about it. It's when you beat yourself up and you ask other people to either pile on and beat yourself up with you, or to fight you about whether or not you're a good person. Those are where things, I think, really go sideways. So even if you need to keep seeking support in a public way for it, just thinking about how you say it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is important also to kind of start to question, like, where did this mentality come from? Why do I think that there's something bad or wrong with the way my body is, or that there would be something bad or wrong with my body if I weighed, more. There's a lot, in the health at every size community and movement. There's a book called Health at Every Size that talks about, that we need to really unhook those things, and we can still focus on feeling well without scrutinizing our bodies, right? And without saying like that there's something wrong with our size or our weight. So you certainly can still like eat some more veggies, right? Like go for a walk, whatever it is. But also right now, we're going to be talking about this in a little bit in some further videos, just there's so much happening in terms of, just stress and trauma, right? And grief right now, that we're probably not going to feel amazing no matter what, but blaming it on weight gain is really misguided. And again, kind of contributes to that like cycle for all of us.
Yeah, I think that's huge too. Yeah, you put it perfectly.
All right. Well, thank you everybody so much. And we'll be seeing you again soon.
Thanks.